Welcome to Tracking the Cats. I'm Bob Saban, co-hosting along with longtime broadcaster for Western Carolina, Steve White, who will be on in just a minute. This week, we've got a great show. Real pleased to present again Coach Tim Croft of Western Carolina's men's basketball team, head coach. He also has a special guest with him this week, Tidjiane Dioumassi. He's a recruit that we've brought in from Southern University and has played in Canada and France, was born and grew up in France. But one thing that we need to let you all know, we had a technical glitch with the recording of the original and we're having to use the raw video. So you're going to see all four people on throughout the broadcast, even though we don't get to Coach Kraft and Tidjiane until about 5 or 6 minutes into it. But here we go and enjoy. My co-host, Steve White. We've got a great show for you today. As always, we're brought to you by Stanberry Insurance with offices in Silva, Waynesville, and Highlands, and they can cover all your insurance needs from commercial through personal, umbrellas, car, and everything else. So give Stanberry a call if you need some insurance advice and help. Steve, before we get started, I saw something. I was looking up about the Southern Conference Commissioners Cup and German Cup, the overall sports winners, the folks that had the best average scores on all sports across the year 2024 to 2025. And by golly, I think Western came up with our best score, which we didn't win, but we came in third place behind Samford and the winner, East Tennessee. And as far as I could tell, and I could only see numbers going back to the year 2000, that's our best score since 2000. We were fourth place in, I think, 2008, 2009.
Yeah, we go third place this year for the men. The women weren't quite as good this year as they normally are. Of course, women's soccer really did a great job, and tennis had the real high finishes in track and field. But yeah, the men's program, that's the best finish we've had in a few years, probably going back to the '80s when I think we had a couple of second place finishes in the overall standings. Another thing about that, a lot of people don't realize that we do not sponsor as many sports as about half of the teams in the Southern Conference. So they gang up on us just a little bit. But still, that was very encouraging to finish third in the men's overall Southern Conference standings this year.
Yep, that looked pretty good. Also, with baseball closing out the season, we had a couple of good games up front, but I think they just drained our pitching. But we had what, 5 different guys on postseason recommendations or awards?
Yes, we did. I tell you, we've got it's really bodes well for the future. We've got a good-looking team coming back next year. Again, assuming something doesn't happen during the off season, the bidding process and so forth, but and the draft. We will have probably have a couple of guys drafted this year, and definitely one of our pitchers. But that's really looks good for next year. We have a hitting machine now that our lineup is really good. We topped the conference in most of the offensive categories. Unfortunately, the pitching categories, we weren't so good. We were down at the bottom, but that'll be a big emphasis this year is getting that pitching staff shored up. And like I say, I think we can hit from anyone, but very, very encouraging season. And I'm looking forward to next year in baseball.
Yeah, and the pitching got better as the season went on. Now let's just add a couple more mid-game relievers, and
Yes.
we should be in pretty good shape by next year. Maybe another weekend starter.
Yeah, Coach Kraft's going to come out of retirement. I think he's got some eligibility left in baseball. So
The
And
lefty,
speaking of
lefty,
Coach Kraft,
lefty
we're going to
breaking
bring him
ball.
in. Go ahead, say that again, Tim.
Got the lefty breaking ball.
That's right.
Circle change.
yeah, yeah,
So,
that was like when I threw out the first pitch on my birthday, 82nd birthday here a few weeks ago. I told Coach I was going to throw a sinker, and he says, "You can't throw a sinker." I said, "Watch this." And I threw it. It sank maybe a foot before home plate, though. But it bounced across the plate for a strike, but
Oh,
just a
okay.
little bit short.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob Euchre could have called that nicely, just a little bit low. So that being said, we do have not only Coach Kraft with us today from the basketball team, we also have one of our new guys coming on. We've got Tidjiane, I don't want to mess up your last name, Diomi.
Dioumassi.
Dioumassi. Sorry, man. I'll get it right. So one of our players, we're going to be talking to him live from Canada, will be with us. But Coach Kraft had a tough and challenging first season. We had a couple upsets during the conference run, which was good, but he had 8 wins overall, 4 in the conference. He had mostly a new team, and so we're looking forward to next year because it looks like things have really picked up in the offseason here, and that's what we're going to get to. So, Steve, you got a question for Coach?
Yeah, just well, what I'd like to say is yesterday at Waynesville Country Club, Coach. I think that was a good start to the season.
Yeah.
I tell you, I was very impressed with the turnout. Of course, the course was a beautiful day, course conditions, everything really nice. And a lot of the guys were maybe complaining a little bit about the haze from uh, to John, that Canadian smoke coming down into the United States right now. They say that was they couldn't follow their drives
Mm.
because of that haze. I said I had no problem at all following my drive in that haze, but that was just a great day yesterday. Good turnout, a lot of enthusiasm, and I know you were very encouraged and excited about what went on yesterday.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Appreciate you playing too. And Tajan probably doesn't even know this, but we had a big golf tournament yesterday. Jackson Simmons on our staff really did a great job working for a while to put that together, and was a great kind of fundraising event for us. And again, like you said, great turnout, beautiful weather, beautiful golf course there up in Waynesville. If you haven't had a chance to play that course, it's a private course. So this gave, some people that have been wanting to play that course a chance to get on and play in our tournament. But again, it was a lot of fun. Just great to be around some Catamount fans and talk hoops, and everybody there was there to support us, and we really appreciated it.
Yeah, I saw on Twitter or X now the some pictures posted, and the winners were there. I saw a picture of Steve, but he wasn't holding up a certificate of a champion. Uh,
No, no.
Hey! Drive for show, putt for dough. That's my theory.
okay, so Coach, tell us a little bit about your thoughts on the roster. We've had a fair amount of change, but we kept some of your better players on board. So give us a rundown on the roster right now.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, we're really excited about the roster. This time last year, we got the job, and really, the Justin Gray and his staff done a great job building this program. But half the team was graduating, a few of the other guys going to the portal, so we had to completely rebuild the roster. And unfortunately, we weren't able to really bring in any experience last year. But what we did is we brought in some guys that really fit from a character standpoint, and guys we thought that could get better and grow and develop. And and that's what we did last year. We got better and we got better. And the thing that as we moved through the season and improved and saw some of the key players really improving and showing that they could become good Southern Conference players. The most important thing that we did was to retain, the guys that we really felt fit the way that we want to play, fit our program from a culture standpoint and a value standpoint. The guys that we felt like really wanted to be here at Western. And so as we moved through the season, kind of identifying who those guys were, and thankfully we were able to retain all of those guys that we felt like kind of fit what we wanted to build here. And and that was 7 scholarship guys and 2 walk-ons. And so we got 9 returners that have been with us through a year, that have gone through everything with us for a year. And last year, going through a lot of hard times, right? From a athletic standpoint, when you lose games, you lose multiple games in a row, you're struggling to find yourself. Man, that's when your character is really built and challenged, and that adversity really helps, bond you together. So that was really important to us, and so we were able to do that. And then it was, once we were able to figure out who we were going to be able to bring back, because everybody on the roster has a choice. They can all decide to leave. So when we figured out who we were going to be able, number one, who we wanted to bring back, number two, who was going to agree to come back, and we saw where we were at from that standpoint. It's now figuring out, okay, what do we need to make this the roster that can compete in this league, and where do we need to try to bring in some experience from the transfer portal, and where maybe that we can afford to bring in some high school guys that don't have as much experience. And so that's where things started for us, and we're really happy with the way that it turned out. And we got the guys that were back, 7 players back, and really all seven of them started some games for us. Some more than others, but all of them. Jamar Livingston, he didn't play a lot because he ended up having a medical situation where hopefully he'll get a medical red shirt. But the other 6, just played a lot of minutes for us, played in a lot of close games, and so that's important. And we felt like we did need to bring in some more experience and more proven production to go with that group. And we were able to do that with 4 transfers. Tidjiane's on with us now, and you'll talk to him more. But we wanted a playmaking guard that can really upgrade our roster from a passing situation. Felt like that was an area we really needed to improve. Playmaking and passing, ability to make others better with the pass, and then a guy that can be really versatile defensively. And Tidjiane really brings those things. He's 6'4", 200 pounds, can guard probably 4 positions on the floor. He's tough. He's really competitive, and has the ability offensively to do a lot of different things. And particularly that passing, he averaged about 5 assists a game at his previous school, and he's got a lot of experience. Playing a couple years of junior college, a year and a half at Southern in the SWAC, where they had a really good program that won a regular season conference title. So he brings that. We felt like we needed to bring in a 5-man with some experience, a post player with some experience, and we've got a guy by the name of Abdoulaye Kaba, who will be a sophomore for us. Was a freshman at Denver. He's 7 foot. He's about 235, 240 pounds. Really like an elite mid-major defender. And again, one of the areas as we looked at our roster that we figured that as we looked at the players returning and going through the year with them last year, defensively we really need to improve, and we wanted to do that from a recruiting standpoint, is to bring in some guys that we felt like can really help us on the defensive end. Tidjiane does that. Abdoulaye Kaba, 7 foot shot blocker. He led the Summit Conference as a freshman in block percentage, and was able to start. He was injured for the first half of the year, but then started like the last 16 games of the season as a freshman at Denver. Then we brought in another guard named Julian Samaro, who's just another guy with a lot of experience. He played for me at Gardner-Webb. Julian played 3 years for us, went to East Carolina last year, had a medical situation where he was able to get the year back. So now we get him here as a grad transfer, where he's, again, been through a lot of stuff, averaged about 13 points a game for us at Gardner-Webb. Again, proven Division I production with Julian, understands our system and how we play. played in it for 3 years. Brings a lot of leadership and a lot of competitive grit to the roster. And then the fourth transfer is a guy by the name of Justin Johnson, who is a really versatile wing player. He's really a guard at 6'8", but can guard 4 positions on the floor. Very athletic, a lot of length. Played at Arkansas State last year, where they won a conference championship in the Sun Belt. So again, those 4 guys add to the experience that we bring back and return. And then we also bring in two freshmen, Tay Smith out of, he's kind of in that Raleigh, Garner areas where he grew up, but he played high school basketball at Combine Academy, most recently in Charlotte. He's a big kind of young Bernard Pelote-like player, 6'7", freshman. He's 225, 230 pounds as a freshman. He's a big kid. 4-man, and then we brought in a 5-man named by the name of Samuel Dada, a high school kid at a Link Year Academy. Got a lot of talent, a lot of upside. So we're excited about those 6 guys. And I can tell you, I can promise you this, last year when we went into the season, we were ranked 355th out of 362 or whatever teams in Division I in Division I experience. And this year we will be ranked way higher, from the 7 guys we brought back to the 4 that we're bringing in. Our experience level, our level of proven production is at a completely different level than it was last season.
Cool. Good to know.
I tell you, Tidjiane, I've read a lot of good things about you. I've watched some videos on you, and very impressed in what Coach says. I think it's really the playmaking part. Really impressed with the way you distribute the ball and get it to the scores. I know you like to score too, but I was very impressed with your playmaking abilities and so forth. What I'd like to do is go back a little bit. We haven't had many guys from Paris, France on our team, and over the years, we've had some guys go over there and play basketball.
Exactly.
Sometimes, but talk about growing up in France. What was basketball like there? I know it's probably not like a major sport. I would think that maybe soccer and tennis are huge sports there, but tell me about growing up and playing basketball in France.
I mean, to be honest, growing up in France, I didn't really play much basketball. I was simply because my dad played and my older brother played. But I was a big soccer fan, so I was like 15. So I just played soccer. Well, basketball wasn't as popular as now with Victor Wembanyama and all them guys that are making it more popular right now. But at first, I was soccer. So yeah, I wasn't a big basketball guy at first.
Yeah. I understand. Well, how exactly did you get to America? What was the attraction there? What brought you here?
I'm not really just, my dad kind of got a big name in France, and I wanted to like make a way for myself. And when I fell in love with basketball, all I see in basketball is the US, the NBA, and so I was like, let me go over there and see what's it like. And that's when I made the move.
Yeah. You've got quite a bloodline there. We were talking about this earlier. I remember watching your dad play in the 2000 Olympics. The American team defeated France for the gold medal, France getting the silver medal. But your dad was a big name in French basketball over there. And I remember his name. Now, this, you got to remember now, that was 25 years ago. But I remember watching these things. That's when you get old like me, you're like an old horse. You remember everything that happens to you.
Yeah.
But I remember that. So you've got a bloodline. How much encouragement did he point you toward basketball from like day one, pushing you, or just getting you involved in basketball?
I mean, at first he kind of let me do my own thing. Like, he supported me with soccer, but he always tried to like put me in camps and make me play against my brother and play against him, which I wasn't winning much, to be honest. But I was surrounded. He just never forced me to play basketball.
Well, when we get together, when I get up there to Cullowhee and we get some time with the team, I'd love to talk to you about soccer because I'm a huge soccer fan, and so we'll chat a little bit about that. But at Southern, um, you were known as a guy who was going to handle assists and play off to the other guys. Do you prefer being in that role of passing, or do you like to get some shots off occasionally as well?
I mean, yeah, who doesn't like scoring? But me as a player, what was important to me is winning, and I know I do best on the court is playing defense and playmaking and making our guys better. So yeah, I like scoring if it comes down to it, but I like to see how easy I can make the job for my teammate for them to score. That's what I like most after playing defense. I'm pretty big on defense.
That's great. I'd love to see the turnover ratio kind of flip this year, and us causing more
Yeah.
turnovers and getting a few less. And I'm sure with the roster build and the experience, that'll be probably happening.
Oh, Coach, how many players are you going to have in Cullowhee this summer? I know the summer school sessions are just now starting. Are you going to get most of your team here early? And I know that's the whole goal. I know football loves to do that and so forth. So, what's your situation there?
Yeah, good question, Bob. And before I answer that question, I would say I hope to see that reverse too, the flip to the turnover, turnovers forced being more, and turnovers committed being a lot less.
Yeah, from what I saw from Tidjiane, that's going to be a tremendous improvement. I
No
think
doubt,
it's going to be a big asset.
for
Yes.
sure,
That's
for
good.
sure,
Good.
for sure. And I think really like with just with the experience returning and those guys going through it that are back, and then two veteran guards coming in, right, with Tidjiane going into to year 5 and really in college basketball, and Julian Samaro doing the same. Will be his 5th year in college basketball, so those guys will help that as well. This summer, yeah, our plan is, Steve, to have the whole team here this summer. That's the plan. Guys are really making plans to move back to Cullowhee over the weekend to early next week, and so by the time we get to Wednesday, we're hoping to have kind of us getting really ready to roll and ready to get on the court and get going. We have one of our players that's transferring is on the quarter system, so he's still in school right now, and he'll be joining us just a week or so later. But the plan is to have really the whole roster here for about 8 weeks together, and it'll be a really important time for us.
So, what does summer workouts and drills look like? I don't, that's something that we know goes on, but it's also limited by the NCAA. What are you allowed to do, and how do these guys do that once they're on campus and you're practicing in the summer and early fall?
Well, I think one of the important things about the summer, number one, is just getting the team together and getting them get to know each other on and off the court. Building relationships with one another, learning about the values that are important to us in our program. Our returners getting refreshed and reminded about who we want to be as a program. Our newcomers being introduced to that, and that's a big part of what we do off the court. Yeah, but you are limited. You're right, Bob. You're in kind of the 8-hour week rule, which is whenever you're not in the season. When you're in the season, you got 20 hours to be with your team doing basketball stuff. When you're in the summer or the fall or the spring and you're out of season, it's 8 hours. So you're limited to 4 hours on the court per week and 4 hours The other 4 hours, will be with your strength coach in the weight room or doing strength and conditioning, no basketball. So 8 hours total, 4 on the court, and then the other 4 with our strength coach, John Williams. And so, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's enough to really get things introduced to our team. I really like from the way I like to do it is really like to kind of build our offense in the summer and, put the basic parts of our half court offense, our flow, and then our transition game in the summer, introduce them a little bit to the defensive part. But we spend a lot more time on the offensive part. Again, you're limited with your time, so you can't cover everything. But it really gives you a great head start. And, then the players will have some time, for skill development. And some of that will be, mandatory time with our position coaches and our assistants working on them developing things in their game that they need to improve on in the off season. And then other times will be just, voluntary work that they're getting into the gym on their own with each other to get extra shots up and get a lot of work up or a lot of work in terms of skill development.
Excellent.
Coach, any changes in the basketball rules coming up for the NC? I don't know if they've come up with a 4-point basket or not or anything like this, but
Yeah.
maybe Tidjiane, maybe they'll start giving a point for an assist too. You get a point along with your points that you score. I don't know. And nothing, any major changes, anything significant? No?
Steve, if there are, I don't know about them.
Yeah.
And every year sometimes there's certainly a difference of points of emphasis
Right.
in terms of how the rules are called and officiated. And then there's certain years where it's like a rule change year.
Yeah.
I don't know if this year is or not, to be honest with you. I just haven't spent any time looking at it, and we get some emails sometimes from the NCAA on some of the rules changes in the off season, and I haven't paid attention to. I hadn't had time to look at that so far. So if there are, I don't know what they are yet, but I'll figure those out by the time we start playing.
So by the time you start playing, we're going to start out of conference, and we've announced a few money games. But if we look at the past with when we've had decent teams, we played money games fairly well. I mean, we didn't get embarrassed at Wake Forest last year, and we've got 3 good ones coming up: Virginia Tech, Georgia, and Duke.
That
Duke.
team
How
from
did I
Durham.
forget
That team from Durham. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about the out of conference games.
Yeah, well, I think those road guarantee games are really important for our program in terms of giving our players the opportunity to play against some of the best players in the country. I think they all want to do that. They all want to test themselves at that level. We want to give our program a chance to compete at that level. And yeah, I think it prepares you, as a team to get into tough environments and tough situations. And again, I really am a big believer that the adversity, creates, the grit, that you need to become a good team. And so, being able to throw yourself into the fire early in the year, I think is really important in terms of, being able to be a good team when it gets into league play. In my time at Gardner Webb, we won six of those games, against Power 4 opponents. And, those we want to be able to do that here. And you never know when that's going to happen, but we're going to respect all and fear none. And, go in to those games excited to compete. So, those are 3. And we're close to finalizing our schedule, very close. I don't really want to, publicly say some of those games that aren't contracted yet, but that are going to be, locked in. So there's a couple others like that. We're continuing our home and home series with UNC Asheville, of course. They'll come to our place. I believe the date on that is like November 19th, I think. Um, we'll travel to South Carolina upstate and return that game. We have the ASUN Southern Conference Challenge, which again I don't know if that's been publicly announced yet, but we've got two opponents there, one home and one on the road for the SoCon Challenge. So it's going to be a really difficult schedule. It's going to be a really challenging schedule. But one that, again, I think the key is to prepare us for league play and give our players and our university an opportunity to, see ourselves compete against some of the best in the power conferences as well.
Are we looking at any holiday tournaments, Thanksgiving or Christmas? No is an okay answer.
No, we're not. Not this year.
That's fine.
No,
That's fine.
not this year.
Steve, anything else, sir?
Well, I just want to tell Tidjiane that I have actually gone from Montreal to Cullowhee and didn't get lost. So be careful. You make sure you know your way down here.
Looking forward to catching you here, sir.
I should get down there this weekend.
Okay, now
Yeah.
stay connected, guys. Stay connected here. We don't want to. We got to make sure Bob's got us in before we can click off. So do not disconnect. Right.
Yep. Well,
we got you.
That about does it for this version of Tracking the Cats. Glad to have you all. This has been a fun one. Looking forward to next time. Looking forward to the fall and seeing you preseason there, Coach, and maybe another one of your players guest with us. But as always, Tracking the Cats is brought to you by Stanberry Insurance with offices in Silva, Waynesville, and Highlands. We will see you all again in a couple of weeks.